The cavern pulsed like a living heart. Kari stood before the sealed chamber, her clawed hands trembling as a glow from the bioluminescent walls painted her face in eerie light. She was young by her people's measure, barely into her second cycle of maturity, but chosen for this trial. If she failed, she would remain embonded, unproven, and exiled from her tribe's lineage. The chamber's orifice was a trial, a biological seal, flesh and stone fused by ancient symbiotes, guarded the hidden knowledge of her ancestors. Only by opening it could she prove herself worthy. But the seal was tight, too tight. Every attempt she made, pressing, clawing, even bleeding on its surface, had failed. For days she had camped here, exhausting herself, until her voice cracked from chant and her hands from effort. No alien had ever succeeded alone. The trial was designed that way. But no one had ever brought a human before. The human survivor's name was Elias. He had crashed weeks ago, his craft torn to shreds in the upper atmosphere. Kari's tribe had found him half dead, carried him to safety, and watched him recover with wary fascination. He was strange, soft-skinned, blunt-toothed, fragile, but his hands were clever and his eyes never stopped searching. Kari had not wanted him with her. This was her trial, hers alone. But the elders had whispered, "Let the alien watch." Sometimes truth come from beyond the stars. And so he stood now, arms crossed, studying the chamber's sealed orifice with the same intensity he had studied every broken machine from his wreck. "This is biological," he muttered. Kari stiffened. "It is sacred, not yours to touch." He raised an eyebrow. "It's also alive. Look." He knelt, running a hand just short of the surface. The membrane shivered, pulsing faintly. It reacts to warmth, pressure, maybe even chemistry. Kari bared her teeth. "It reacts to nothing. I have tried for days." "Maybe you've been trying the wrong way." The human worked differently than she did. Kari attacked problems with force, strength, endurance, willpower. Elias approached like water, soft, probing, seeking cracks. Instead of clawing at the orifice, he pressed gently. Instead of demanding it open, he hummed low notes against the membrane, watching how it quivered. He mixed his own blood with Kari's and dabbed it on the seam. The chamber shifted. Slightly. Kari's eyes widened. It responded. Elias grinned faintly. "It likes mixed signals. Yours and mine. Maybe it needs cooperation." Her ears flattened. "It was meant to be opened by me. Or maybe by us," he countered. She hated the word, yet the truth pulsed before her. Alone, she had failed. With him, the chamber stirred. For hours they worked together. She pressed while he guided. He spoke theories. She offered rituals. The membrane resisted, tightening, shivering, forcing them to adapt. Finally, Elias placed both hands flat on the seal and looked at her. "It wants synchronization. It won't open unless we act as one." She snarled softly. "My people do not act as one with Offworlders." He met her glare calmly. "Then your chamber stays shut." The silence stretched. The chamber pulsed, mocking her. She swallowed her pride. For the first time in her life, she extended her clawed hand not as dominance, but in shared intent. "Together," she hissed. "Together," he agreed. They pressed in unison. Her claws, his fingers, her strength, his precision. The membrane tightened, resisted, then shuddered violently. With a sound like a sigh, the seal parted. A rush of ancient air spilled out, carrying scents of dust and time. Inside, bioluminescent spores lit a spiraling passage descending into darkness. The orifice had opened. Kari staggered back, stunned. It was impossible. Elias smiled crookedly. Impossible for one, not for two. Inside the chamber, they found relics, carvings older than Kari's tribe, crystal tablets humming with dormant energy, and murals painted in alien pigments. They told a story Kari had never seen. Her ancestors had not survived alone. Long ago, another species had stood with them, opening the chamber together. It had always been meant for cooperation, for unity, for us. Kari's chest tightened. Her failure had not been weakness. It had been tradition clinging to half-truths. The human had shown her the rest. When they returned to the tribe, The elders gathered. Kari stood before them, Elias at her side, and declared, "The chamber opened, not by me, not by him, by both. That is the truth of the trial. We are not meant to stand alone." The elders whispered in shock. Some hissed in denial, but none could refute the glowing relics carried back as proof. Kari met their eyes, defiant. "You chose me to prove myself. I chose him to stand with me." And the chamber agreed. For a long moment, silence ruled. Then the elders spoke, voice like stone. "So it begins again, as it did in the first days. Unity reborn." That night, by the fires, Elias laughed quietly. "You know, when you said it was sealed shut, I thought you meant some kind of door. Didn't expect that." Kari flicked her ear in amusement. "It was a door, just one that refused arrogance." He grinned. "Glad I was useful." She studied him, the strange, soft-skinned human who had turned failure into triumph. "Not useful," she corrected. "Necessary." And as the stars burned above them, Kari realized something. This was only the beginning. The chamber had opened not just to reveal relics, but to reveal the truth that no people survived alone. And it had taken a human, fragile and strange, to prove it.